The stars were quiet that day. In the vast stretch of the galaxy, a small blue-green planet orbited a pale sun almost unnoticed. Yet for the Zalari, this planet was different. They had been searching for intelligent life for centuries, scanning every system, every moon, and every asteroid field. Their ships had encountered countless worlds, many filled with life, but none had shown the curiosity and warmth that this planet seemed to radiate. Admiral Kale, commanding the Zalari fleet, leaned over the viewport of the command ship. The planet below looked fragile, delicate, almost like a jewel floating in darkness. Could life really exist here in such abundance? He murmured. He had seen civilizations rise and fall, witnessed wars that burned planets, and yet this world seemed untouched. It felt alive. It felt welcoming. The first transmissions had arrived unexpectedly. They were soft at first, a strange harmony of sounds that carried intelligence. They were unmistakably sent by a species trying to reach out. Kale's advisors were cautious, urging caution and defensive protocols. But he sensed something different. "Listen closely," he said, his voice steady. "These beings, they are reaching out. They do not mean harm." Soon the humans, the inhabitants of the planet, made themselves known. Small ships appeared in orbit, slow and deliberate. They were unlike any military vessel Kale had ever seen. There were no weapons, no shields bristling with energy. Just ships carrying beings who wanted to connect. Kale watched as the humans sent their first message through universal translators. "We welcome you," it said. "We are the people of Earth. We come in peace and hope to share knowledge with you." The simplicity of the words, the honesty in their tone, struck Kale in a way he had not expected. The Zalari fleet prepared landing vessels. The human ships did not retreat. They hovered gently, as if curious, as if inviting them. When the Zalari ambassadors landed on the planet's surface, they were met by humans who seemed ordinary at first glance. They walked on two legs, soft eyes filled with wonder, and hands that reached out in friendship. Children ran around, laughing, and adults offered gifts made from materials the Zalari had never seen. Lyra, a human ambassador, stepped forward with a small, glowing object in her hand. "It is a symbol of friendship," she said. "We share it with you because we believe the stars are for all of us." Kale studied the object. It pulsed softly, reflecting light and colors no sensor could name. The gesture was simple, yet it carried meaning beyond technology or words. The Zalari began to feel something strange, almost alien to them. Trust. For the first time in centuries, a species welcomed them without fear, without suspicion. Kale felt a lump in his throat, something he did not fully understand. It was hope, fragile and pure. Days passed. Humans showed the Zalari their world. Vast forests that whispered with wind, oceans that glimmered like liquid silver, and cities that blended technology with nature. The humans spoke of art, of music, of love, and Kale listened, feeling a deep admiration. They were small, fragile beings in a galaxy of power and destruction, but their spirit was unyielding. Yet beyond the peaceful horizon, something stirred. In the deep darkness of space, a shadow moved, silent, unseen, but present. Kale's sensors could not detect it, yet he sensed it with the same instinct that had kept him alive through countless battles. A storm was coming, though no one knew it yet. For now, there was peace. The humans and Zalari shared meals, songs, and stories under the alien sky. A fragile hope bloomed between two species, one ancient and cautious, the other new and fearless. The galaxy had never felt so alive. And somewhere in that moment, Admiral Kale realized that first contact was never just about communication. It was about trust, courage, and the quiet magic of meeting another being with an open heart. Days turned into weeks, and the fragile trust between humans and Zalari grew stronger. On Earth, the human cities buzzed with excitement. For the first time, a species from another world had come willingly, without threat, without aggression. Children pressed their faces against glass domes, pointing at the sleek silver ships hovering above, their laughter ringing like music. Adults moved with careful purpose, preparing for meetings, sharing knowledge, and learning the ways of beings who had traveled the stars. Admiral Kale walked through one of these cities with human ambassador Lyra. The streets were alive with the blending of culture and curiosity. Zalari senses, attuned to energy and emotion, recorded the joy, the excitement, and the quiet pride of humans, showing their world to visitors. Every small interaction seemed to carry meaning, a reminder that this was not just first contact. It was the birth of a potential alliance. "You have built something remarkable," Kyle said, his voice soft, almost in awe. "Your people. They are fragile, yet you survive. You create beauty even when the universe is harsh." Lyra smiled, a faint glimmer in her eyes. "Fragile. Perhaps," she said. "But humans endure, we adapt. And when necessary, we protect those we care about with all we have. That is our strength." Kale studied her words. For centuries, the Zalari had valued raw power, strategy, and precision. But the humans showed something else, a quiet courage that did not need weapons to exist. It was a strength of spirit, one that could not be measured by sensors or scans. That evening, in a wide valley near the human capital, the first celebration of peace began. Humans and Zalari gathered under the open sky, where twin moons cast silver light across the fields. Songs were sung in both Zalari harmonics and human melodies. Zalari instruments blended with human flutes and strings, creating a harmony that carried through the night air. The children of both species ran together, their laughter crossing language barriers, proving that joy could be understood by all. Kyle watched the scene quietly, feeling an unfamiliar warmth inside him. The Zalari had always approached other civilizations with caution. Trust was earned slowly, often through fear or dominance. But these humans, they offered it willingly. Their eyes held no suspicion, only hope and curiosity. Lyra approached him, carrying a small plate of fruit grown in a bioluminescent garden. "You must taste this," she said. "It is unique to our world, but it grows freely when we care for it." Kyle took a bite, the flavors bright and alive on his senses. "It is remarkable," he said. "Like your people. Simple yet extraordinary." As the night deepened, Kale's fleet watched from orbit. They had never witnessed such unity between species. The humans had a way of seeing value not only in themselves but in others. They did not demand respect, they inspired it. Yet amid the beauty and harmony, Kale felt a shadow of unease. Somewhere beyond the light of the moons and the quiet darkness of space there was movement, something that had not yet revealed itself, something that could change the fragile peace in an instant. But for now, the galaxy felt alive with hope. The humans had shown the Zalari that strength was not only in weapons or fleets, but in the courage to trust, to create, and to reach out across the stars. It was a lesson the Zalari would not forget. In that valley, beneath a sky glittering with stars, Kale finally understood the humans' essence. They were fragile, yes, but their courage, their heart, and their refusal to accept despair made them dangerous in a way no one could predict. And as the songs echoed through the night, he whispered to himself, "Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated them. Perhaps humanity is unlike anything we have ever known." For weeks, peace reigned across the small blue-green planet and its orbiting fleets. Humans and Zalari worked side by side, learning from each other, sharing knowledge, and exchanging ideas. There was laughter in the valleys, songs beneath alien skies, and quiet conversations in chambers aboard ships. The galaxy felt alive with hope, a fragile light that shone against centuries of darkness. Admiral Kale often stood on the observation deck of his flagship, watching the human ships moving gracefully through orbit. He had come to admire them, not just for their technology, which was surprisingly advanced, but for the courage and determination they carried in every action. They were peaceful, yes, but their presence commanded respect. Kale had thought he understood the humans. Now he realized he had only scratched the surface. Then the first warning came. Sensors on the outer edges of the system began detecting something unusual. At first it was subtle, a faint distortion in the fabric of space, almost like a ripple. Kyle frowned, calling his officers to the bridge. "What is it?" he asked. The readings were unlike anything in their records. Energy signatures, old and new, intertwined, patterns that suggested intelligence and danger. A report arrived seconds later. A massive object was approaching from the outer rim of the system. It moved with deliberate speed, yet without the erratic patterns of ordinary warships. Its hull absorbed light in ways sensors could barely track, and it emitted no communication signals, no request for parley, no greeting, no warning. It was silent, but Kale could feel its presence, a dark weight pressing against the calm of the system. Lyra stood beside him, her expression calm but her eyes sharp. "I feared this day might come," she said quietly. "The Terran phantom warship. Stories have called it a ghost, a myth, but it is very real." Kyle turned to her, startled. "Phantom warship, how? Why has no one seen it before?" Lyra shook her head. It appears only in times of great need, or great war. It waits hidden, observing civilizations until it decides they are ready, or until they threaten what Terrans once built. It does not negotiate. It does not show mercy. The calm of the system shattered as the massive ship entered the outer orbit. Its presence alone made smaller sensors fail, its energy signature bending reality in strange ways. Zalari's ship scrambled to respond, activating shields, weapons, and defense protocols. Yet the humans did not retreat. Their ships moved with quiet precision, positioning themselves to protect the planet below. Admiral Kale's voice trembled slightly, a rare crack in his usual control. We've faced threats before, but nothing like this. Its technology is alien, beyond anything we have cataloged. Lyra's gaze did not waver. We do not face it alone, she said. The humans who came in peace are not the same as the humans who survive extinction. We will stand. As the Terran Phantom warship advanced, its dark hull reflecting no light, Kyle realized the true test of this first contact was not diplomacy, not friendship, not science. It was courage. And humanity had courage in abundance. The calm that had filled the valleys, the cities, and the fleets was gone. It was replaced by tension, the quiet before a storm, the kind that could either destroy civilizations or forge new legends. Kyle watched the horizon of space, and for the first time he felt a mixture of fear and awe. The galaxy had opened a door to something extraordinary, and the humans were about to show him exactly why they were not to be underestimated. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind as the first shadow fell across the fleet. We are not weak, and no shadow, no matter how ancient, can extinguish our will. The Terran Phantom warship had arrived. The story of first contact was about to change forever. The calm of the galaxy shattered in an instant. The Terran Phantom warship, massive and silent, moved through the outer orbit with unstoppable intent. Its dark hull seemed to drink the light of nearby stars, casting a shadow that fell like a veil over the human and Zalari fleets. Sensors flared warnings, alarms blared, and fleets scrambled to respond. Yet nothing could predict the terror that came next. The first strike was sudden. Energy beams tore through the outskirts of the Zalari fleet, slicing through ships with surgical precision. Explosions blossomed silently in space, fragments scattering like falling stars. The Zalari had faced many enemies, but nothing moved like this. Fast, silent, and merciless. Even their advanced shields struggled to absorb the onslaught. Admiral Kale gripped the railing of his command deck, feeling the tension coil in his chest. Deploy all defensive units. Focus fire. Attempt communication. His voice was steady, but inside a storm of doubt raged. They had anticipated contact, prepared for negotiation, yet nothing in their centuries of experience could prepare them for this. Below, humans did not panic. Small, sleek ships launched from the planet's surface, weaving with unbelievable precision. They darted between debris and Zalari vessels, their movements unpredictable, almost chaotic, yet devastatingly effective. Their targeting was precise, not relying on brute force but on intelligence, speed, and intuition. Lyra's voice cut through the fleet-wide communication channels. Do not scatter. Follow our lead. We will protect our allies and the planet. Her calm command steadied the human pilots and inspired the Zalari. Even amidst fear, her tone carried confidence, a quiet declaration that humanity did not flee, even in the face of annihilation. Kale observed the humans' maneuvers with disbelief. Small ships, far weaker than the Phantom warship, zipped through its weapons fire as though guided by some unseen force. They struck at weak points no sensor could detect, then vanished into space again. They are incredible, Kyle whispered. He had trained in thousands of battles, studied hundreds of civilizations, yet none had fought with this combination of courage and cunning. The Terran Phantom warship, sensing resistance, responded with overwhelming power. Energy pulses erupted in every direction, designed to neutralize anything within range. Yet the humans adapted instantly, shifting formations, exploiting blind spots, and countering every attack with calculated precision. It was a dance of life and death, and the humans led with unwavering rhythm. Kale realized something profound. These humans had survived extinction before, faced threats that would have destroyed countless civilizations, and yet they endured. They were not just skilled in technology. They were skilled in survival, in adaptation, in the fierce defense of what they loved. Peaceful in diplomacy, relentless in defense, Lyra's voice returned, calm but firm. We do not fight to conquer, we fight to protect. The galaxy will understand this today. The battle raged, a spectacle of light, energy, and strategy. Zilari ships, inspired by human courage, found new strength. Coordinated attacks began to slow the Phantom warship's advance. Explosions continued, but now the human-led fleet held the line. Amid the chaos, Kale felt a mixture of awe and relief. The humans were not merely surviving, they were asserting dominance through sheer will and intellect. In centuries of galactic history, he had never witnessed such a display of courage, of unstoppable resolve. For a brief moment, as streaks of energy lit the darkness, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. The Terran Phantom warship had come with the intent to destroy, but the humans, unyielding and fearless, refused to let fear dictate their actions. And in that refusal, a new hope flickered, one that would grow, unbroken in the face of any shadow. The first strike was devastating, but the humans had shown the galaxy their truth. They did not flee. They did not surrender. They fought with heart, spirit, and a courage that no warship, no matter how ancient or powerful, could easily break. The battle raged in the darkness of space. Energy pulses lit the void like lightning, fragments of destroyed ships drifting endlessly. The Zilari fleet, though powerful, was struggling against the relentless assault of the Terran Phantom warship. Its sheer size and ancient technology were unlike anything they had faced before. Fear began to ripple through the ranks. Then from the shadows a new presence emerged. At first it was barely noticeable, a glint, a shimmer. But as it approached, the full truth became clear. The humans had deployed their own warship. It was unlike any other craft the Zilari had seen. Massive and silent, yet moving with an elegance that belied its power. Its hull gleamed like dark silver, almost ghostly, reflecting starlight in patterns that seemed alive. Admiral Kale watched in disbelief. Is that real? How can a single ship stand against that terror? Lyra's voice cut through the fleet-wide comms, calm and commanding. It is not just a ship. It is our legacy. It is humanity's spirit made steel and fire, and it is here to protect what we love. The humans' Phantom warship moved with precision, weaving between the Terran shadow ship's attacks. Its weapons fired not with indiscriminate destruction, but with surgical accuracy, targeting weak points, exploiting gaps, and disrupting systems that had once seemed untouchable. Each strike was measured, every movement deliberate. The Zilari watched in awe as the tide began to shift. For the first time, the Terran Phantom warship recoiled. It had faced countless civilizations, countless fleets, but this was different. The humans did not fight with fear or aggression. They fought with purpose, with clarity, with a relentless will to protect. Its attacks became cautious, defensive, as if the ancient ship suddenly realized it had underestimated its opponent. Lyra's voice resonated through the communication channels again. We do not fight to conquer. We fight to survive, to protect, to honor life. The galaxy will remember that humanity does not yield to shadows. Admiral Kale felt a lump in his throat. In all his years of service, he had studied courage and bravery, but nothing compared to this. The humans were smaller, weaker in numbers, yet they moved with a certainty, a fearlessness that transcended logic. They were a paradox, gentle in peace, unstoppable in war. The Zilari fleet rallied. Inspired by the humans' unwavering resolve, they found new strength. Ships that had been retreating now coordinated attacks alongside the humans. The energy pulses of the Terran Phantom warship began to falter as combined strikes targeted critical systems. The dark giant groaned under the pressure, unable to maintain its previous dominance. Lyra watched from the command bridge of the human warship. Her expression was calm, yet fierce. We fight for those who cannot, she said. We fight for hope, and we do not fail. Even as the battle continued, a new understanding spread through the Zilari ranks. Humanity was not what they had first assumed, fragile, small, and peaceful. They were a force to be reckoned with. Their strength was not in technology alone, but in the unbreakable will, the courage to face impossible odds, and the refusal to surrender. As explosions lit the darkness and ships maneuvered with breathtaking precision, the humans' Phantom warship pressed the Terran shadow vessel into retreat. The Zilari, once on the brink of defeat, now moved with renewed purpose. Together, humans and Zilari began to turn the tide of the battle. Kale, standing on his bridge, whispered to himself almost in awe, This This is why they survived. This is why the galaxy will never forget them. Humanity is not just alive. Humanity endures, and it conquers fear itself. In the heart of the void, first contact had changed forever. Peace had been shattered, but in its place a new truth emerged. Humanity, small and fragile as it seemed, was a power of the galaxy, a force that could face shadows and emerge victorious. The darkness of space was filled with light and fire as the battle raged on. The Terran Phantom warship, once feared as unstoppable, struggled against the humans' Phantom warship. Energy beams crisscrossed the void, tearing chunks of debris from both sides, yet humanity moved with calm precision. Every maneuver, every strike seemed impossible to the Zalari, yet somehow it worked. Admiral Kale could hardly believe what he saw. "They are bending the rules of war," he muttered. "I've never seen anything like it." The humans were not merely reacting. They were predicting, adapting, controlling the flow of battle as though it were a game they had already mastered. Each strike weakened the shadow ship. Each evasive move frustrated its ancient systems. Lyra's voice echoed calmly through the fleet communication channels. "Do not despair. Humanity fights not because we seek glory, but because we cannot allow injustice to stand. We protect, we endure, and in this moment we lead." The Terran Phantom warship tried to strike again, unleashing a massive wave of energy. It was a final, desperate attempt to destroy the humans' defenses. The energy pulse surged like a dark storm, threatening to tear apart everything in its path. Yet with uncanny speed, the human Phantom warship shifted and countered, its own weapons firing with lethal precision, neutralizing the wave before it could fully reach the Allied fleet. Kale felt a surge of awe. The humans did not just survive, they dominated the battlefield without anger, without chaos. Their intelligence, strategy, and courage were all woven together in a force of nature that even the Zalari, experts in war, could not fully comprehend. Lyra's eyes burned with determination as she watched the shadow ship falter. "This is not just a fight," she said. "It is a message. We do not yield. We do not break. Humanity stands no matter the shadow that falls upon us." Zalari ships, inspired by the humans' leadership, pressed forward with renewed courage. Coordinated attacks began to disable the Terran Phantom warship's engines and weapon systems. Explosions lit the void, but this time the humans were not the underdogs. They were the unstoppable force guiding the Allied fleet toward victory. The human Phantom warship moved with ghost-like speed, striking at critical points, disabling defenses, and outmaneuvering attacks that should have been fatal. Kale realized that the humans had studied not just technology, but warfare itself, and combined it with their courage and willpower to create something extraordinary. A force that was unpredictable, unrelenting, and unstoppable. In the midst of the chaos, Lyra spoke again. "The galaxy has tested us before. We have survived extinction, wars, and betrayal. This shadow thought it could strike fear into our hearts, but it does not understand what humans are made of." With a final, coordinated assault, the humans and Zalari forced the Terran Phantom warship into retreat. It limped away, damaged, unable to continue its assault. Silence followed, broken only by the hum of active ships and the quiet relief of survival. Admiral Kale stood in awe on his bridge, the enormity of what he had witnessed sinking in. "Your species, it is beyond anything we imagined," he whispered. "Not just your technology, but your spirit. You fight not for conquest, but for life, for hope. Humanity is extraordinary." Lyra nodded solemnly, her gaze fixed on the fading shadow of the enemy. "Peace is our hope," she said softly. "Strength is our guarantee. We do not seek war, but we will endure it if necessary. The galaxy must understand this." For the first time, Kale truly understood. Humanity's power was not measured by size or numbers, but by courage, intellect, and the refusal to surrender. They were small and fragile in appearance, yet they could bend the will of the universe itself. In the vast emptiness of space, a new truth emerged. Humanity was not just another species among countless stars. Humanity was a force of the galaxy, a light in the darkness, and a power that no shadow, no matter how ancient, could extinguish. The battle was won. But its lesson resonated far beyond the battlefield. The universe would never underestimate humanity again. Silence settled over the battlefield, but it was not a quiet born of defeat. It was the calm after a storm that had tested courage, will, and spirit beyond measure. The Terran Phantom warship, once feared across centuries, drifted away, wounded and broken. Its presence lingered in the minds of all who had faced it, a reminder of the darkness that could challenge even the strongest. But humanity had endured. Humanity had won. Admiral Kale stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the humans' Phantom warship as it floated among the Allied fleet. He felt a mixture of awe, respect, and humility. "I have seen countless civilizations," he said quietly, almost to himself, "but never one like this. They are not just strong. They are unyielding. They are extraordinary." Lyra stepped beside him, her expression calm yet proud. "We fight to protect, not to conquer. That is our nature. Peace is precious, and we defend it with all that we have." She looked toward the Zalari fleet, who now moved in coordinated formation with the humans, their fear replaced by admiration and trust. "The galaxy will remember this day," she continued. "It will remember that humanity stands for life, for hope, and for courage." The Zalari, once cautious and distant, approached openly. Ambassador Kyle addressed the humans and his own people alike. "We have learned something profound today. Strength is not only in weapons or fleets. Strength is in will, in courage, and in the heart to protect what you love. Humanity has shown us all that. They are not only our allies, they are our teachers." The human fleet returned to orbit, their movements calm but confident. Ships small and large glimmered like stars against the darkness, each one carrying the resolve of a species that had faced extinction and emerged stronger. From the surface of the planet, children waved, unaware of the terror they had just survived but sensing the reassurance of safety. Lyra stood at the forefront of her ship, looking out into the vastness of space. "The galaxy thought it could test us," she whispered. "It thought our peace would be mistaken for weakness. But humanity does not surrender. We endure. We rise, always." The alliance between humans and Zalari was no longer fragile. It had been forged in the crucible of battle, tempered by courage and strengthened by mutual respect. Together, they had faced an impossible foe and emerged victorious. The story of first contact, once gentle and hopeful, had become a legend of courage, unity, and strength. As the stars shimmered above, the fleets moved in perfect synchronization. Humans shared technology, strategy, and insight. The Zalari offered wisdom, knowledge of the galaxy, and experience that spanned millennia. Together they built not just an alliance, but a promise that the galaxy would be a place where peace and courage could coexist. Admiral Kale felt a new hope stir within him. Perhaps the galaxy could change. Perhaps the darkness that had haunted the stars for so long could be met with light. And that light, the courage, the will, the unbreakable spirit, was human. Lyra turned to Kale with a faint smile. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The galaxy will face shadows again, but it will never face them alone. Humanity will always rise to protect, to endure, and to shine." The Terran Phantom warship had arrived with the intent to destroy, but it had awakened something greater. It had revealed humanity, not just as a species, but as a force of life, courage, and hope. And as the fleet sailed together into the uncharted depths of the galaxy, one truth became clear to all who watched. First contact had been peaceful, but the arrival of the humans had changed the universe forever. The stars would remember their courage. The galaxy would remember their will. Humanity had not just survived, it had inspired. And in that inspiration, all species found a new reason to hope. The universe had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans fight not just to exist. They fight to protect, to endure, and to rise above all shadows. The end.